All right, good morning once again. My name is Gbadebo Adejumo, and I am the Education Outreach Coordinator at United States Consulate General here in Lagos, Nigeria. Today, I'll be taking you through the 5 steps to study in the United States of America. And I want to congratulate you first for at least having the interest to wanting to study in the US. I can assure you that this is the right track. And I'm sure by the end of this presentation, you have a better understanding of what it takes to study in the US and also the steps that you require to achieve that goal. Today, we're going to be talking about who we are at Education USA. Why do you want to study in the US? What are the kind of institutions we have in the US? What are the basic requirements? What are the 5 steps to study in the US? What's the application timeline? In Lagos as well, we have a membership program. I'll be talking about it. And what next and how exactly can you contact us? But before I proceed, I also want to tell you that, college is a worthy investment. Benjamin Franklin said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And I'm sure for the parents who are here with us today, they would better understand what that quote means. Right. That was a short video, and basically, the video just talks about, studying the US and why you should study in the US. And Education USA, our primary responsibility is to provide international students with the most accurate, comprehensive, and current information about how to apply to US colleges and universities. So just as I said, our responsibility is to provide you with the most accurate information about schooling in the US. I'm sure a lot of you are here today because you're interested in studying the US. And my role today is to provide you with that accurate information that you need to study in the United States of America. And the Education USA network is not just here in Lagos alone. In fact, we are available globally. We have about 550 plus advisors in about 430 advising centers in about 180 countries. And here in Nigeria alone, we have about 6 centers, one right here where I am today in Lagos. We have another in Abuja, in Kano, in Jos, Ibadan, and also in Calabar. So if you live around or in any of these locations, you can walk to any of the centers and ask questions, and you're going to definitely meet a trained advisor like myself who is going to give you the most accurate information about school in the United States of America. But now, why do you want to study in the US? Why are you interested in studying in the US? What is the US going to offer you that other country might not offer you? Let's talk about the number of accredited universities alone. There are about 4,000 plus accredited universities in the US. So what am I trying to say? No matter what you want for yourself, there's at least one university in the US that is going to fit directly into your needs, not just your academic needs, but also your social, emotional, and financial needs. So imagine just one person having the ability to pick from 4,000 choices. So you know that no matter what kind of desires that you have, there's at least one university in the US that is going to, grant you that desire that you require. And there are about 1,800 plus majors. So I've seen students who would say, you know what, I actually want to major in artificial intelligence. Not a lot of universities in the world will give you the opportunity to major in artificial intelligence. But in the US today, there are some universities who already grant degrees in artificial intelligence. So what am I trying to say? Once again, no matter the kind of major that you want to study, there's at least one university in the US that can give that particular major. We also have the flexibility and of the curriculum. So what am I trying to say? Some of you might have interest in maybe engineering, or your understanding of engineering is just because your dad is an engineer, right? And you like how your dad comes home, maybe the way he dresses or the way he tells you about work. And that's just the framework of engineering that you know. And that's not a problem, right? So if you want to study engineering just for that purpose, at the current level that you are in, and at the same time, by yourself, you also think you have some interest in, let's say, computer science or mathematics or statistics or music, right? In the US, you can major and minor. So using the analogy I just gave, you can major in, let's say, the engineering that you want, and also minor in statistics, and you're still going to spend 4 to 5 years on campus, but this time you're going to have 2 degrees. So what am I trying to say? There's a flexibility in the curriculum that you're going to be getting if you decide to study in the United States of America. You also have the opportunity to mingle with other students from all over the world. Something about mingling, something about networking is that it will always give you the opportunity to understand other people's culture, other people's religion, other people's belief, right? And there's also the opportunity for you to have a world-class education. If you speak with some of the parents here, once it is, I mean, even in their workplace, if a random person walks in and during the course of introduction, the person says, "Oh, I did this and this and did this, I graduated from this university in the US," there's just this sense of, oh, this person must be brilliant, or this person must have gone through a quality education. And that is the bias that schooling in the US gives you. It gives you an opportunity to actually have a world-class degree, a world-class education. You're rest assured that after graduating, that certificate that you're holding is globally recognized. Now, what are the kind of universities? What kind of universities do we have in the US? We have the public or private, community colleges, we have research institutions, and we also have liberal arts colleges. So what am I trying to say here? Regardless of any of these universities you decide to attend, it has nothing to do with the quality of education that you're going to be getting. It has nothing to do with the quality of education that you're going to be getting. So, for example, a school being private or public is just it's just because of how that school is being funded. Public schools are usually funded by the government or taxpayers in that particular state. And for private schools, sorry, someone just distracted me, but no problem. So for private schools are usually funded by private individuals or alum of that particular school. Now, what can I study? Like I said before, you have about 1,800 plus specific majors that you can pick from, and you also have the freedom to design your own studies. There are students that I know that they will tell you, "Oh, maybe I'm not yet sure of what exactly I want to study, but I know it's time for me to go to college." So what happens is that you go to college, you can decide to take classes in different departments, and after your second year, then you now declare what exactly you want to study. And like I explained before, you can major and also minor. Right. And also, is there anybody here who wants to study medicine or law? Just put it in the chat. Anybody here who wants to study medicine or law? Okay, I have 2 people here who said they want to study medicine. So in the US, law and medicine are professional degrees. So what does that mean? You can't just, after graduating from Lumen Christi, then you say you're going to the US, and from your first year, you're already a medical student. That's not how it works. Okay, that's not how it works. So what happens is that, like every other person, you're going to go to school to study any major of your choice. And this major of your choice is going to be a pre-med or a pre-law. So for example, I might want to study computer science. So while studying computer science, you have to take prerequisite medical classes. If, for example, I want to go to medical school eventually. So I'll go to school now to study to study computer science. During my 4 years of computer science, I am going to take pre-medical prerequisite medical classes, and then I'm going to graduate with a degree in computer science. And after that, you are now going to take your MCAT exams. If you're going for law, you're going to take the LSAT. Then once you're done with that, then you now go for your medical school. And after your medical school, you go for your residency. So it's a very school medicine and law are they're very expensive, and they are also very, very competitive. So what what I always encourage students, especially international students, is that yes, you want to study medicine, that's okay. But what is that? What is another interest you have? Now, let that interest that you have be what you take as your pre-med or pre-law. So that after your 4 years, when you graduate from college, if, for example, you're not able to get into medical school or law school, you already have a degree that you can make use of. And if at the same time, you still want to go to medical school, but you're not able to get to medical school because of cost or competitiveness, what can you do? You still have a degree, you have a degree already that you can still pursue to get a job and have a career for yourself. So that's something you really have to keep in mind if you're on this medical line or this law degree line. Now, one of the beauties about schooling in the US is the kind of opportunities that you're going to get. We have something called the curriculum practical training, right? So this is applicable during your 4 or 5 years of education. So you can decide to take breaks from school to get hands-on learning in industries, or during your holiday, you can decide to use your summer breaks to get hands-on internships. You also have the OPT, which is the optional practical training, right? This is applicable after you graduate. So if you're in any of the STEM majors, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, you can stay in the US for up to 3 years to get hands-on training. Now, you can also work on campus for a maximum of 20 hours a week. And you can also get study abroad programs, and you also have opportunities to research as an undergraduate student if you want to. Now, the whole point is not studying in the US is not just about that education you're going to get within the four walls of between the four walls of the classroom. Okay, it goes more than that, right? You have the OPT, like I said, you have the CPT, you have the work study, and you also have the research opportunities, like I mentioned. When do I start applying? At Education USA, we always encourage that you start applying 12 to 18 months in advance. And what does that mean? If, for example, you're planning to go to school next fall, that's August, September next year, this is the best time for you to start applying. If you want to start applying, if you want to go to school spring next year, that's January, February next year, this is also a good time for you to start applying. The way the US works is that you can't just say, I'm going to graduate in July 2025, and I want to resume in August, September 2025, and July is when you want to start applying. It's almost impossible. You need to start applying 12 to 18 months in advance. Application timelines. We have the early decision, the early action, regular decision, and the rolling admissions. Like as you can see grammatically, for the early decision, it is binding. So what that means is if you want to apply to any school as an early decision applicant, if you want to apply to any school as an early decision applicant, what you have to do, what that means is that for that school that you apply as an early decision applicant, if that school offers you admission and all your needs are met, then you must attend that school. So what that means is that it is binding. I hope you understand what I mean. So for early decision, it is binding. That's what it means in short. Now, for early action, if you can apply to 100 schools early action, if any of them don't give you admission, that's fine. If all of them give you admission, that's fine. But you don't have to attend any of them. This is in comparison to early decision. If for early decision, you can only apply to one school, and if that one school offers you admission, you have to attend. But for early action, if all of them offer you an admission, you don't have to attend. But for both of them, the similarity is that you're applying as early as October 15th, November 1st, November 15th, December 1st. And you're also hearing back from the school as early as December, January, and maybe February. For regular decision, you are applying later compared to the early group, but you're also getting your decisions later, but it is not binding. Okay, it is not binding. Then for rolling admissions, this is on a first come, first serve basis. So their admissions are usually open almost throughout the year. But because as an international student, you still have to apply for visas and all of that. So I don't really encourage you to apply for rolling admissions because of the timing. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat. Once I'm done with the presentation, we'll take Q&A. Now, for students who want to go for bachelor's degree, you have to make sure that as at the time you are resuming in the US, you have your WAEC results and of course, you're done with school. So what are your 5 steps to study in the US? Step 1 means research. Step 1 is researching your options. Step 2, financing your studies. Step 3, completing your application. Step 4, applying for student visa. And step 5, preparing for departure. Now, when you want to start researching your options, what are some of the options? What are some of the things you want to consider? Your program of study. For any school you want to attend, you have to make sure that school is having that program you want to study. 2 is the cost of attendance. Cost of attendance is the summation of your direct and your indirect fees, which is your tuition fees, room and board. That is the cost of attendance, the total cost, right? For every school in the US, on the website, you're going to see what the total cost of attendance is. Now, they're also on the same website, you're also going to be seeing a page which is dedicated to financial aid. Every school would have a page for financial aid if they have financial aid. They will tell you the requirements and also what it costs. And for you as well, you need to have a budget. A budget is how much you can conveniently afford per year for your education. So when you start researching, you need to have a budget. And as you're checking the cost of attendance, as you're checking the financial aid, your budget will also be like a checker for you to say, okay, I can't apply to this school. It's too expensive for me. Okay. And also opportunities. What are the kind of opportunities you can get in the school? Not all schools in the US will give you an opportunity to research as an undergraduate student. All right. So if you're somebody who really wants to research as an undergraduate student, this is an opportunity for you to apply to schools that will give you that opportunity. Also, the size. There are some students who don't like schools that are big. Some don't like schools that are small. Also, diversity, location, and accreditation. All right. The most important thing here is when you want to start researching for schools, you just don't want to go to Google and write top 10 best universities in computer science. Google gives you 10 schools and then you just start applying blindly. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You need to take it one step at the other, one step after the other. Does the school have my program of study? What's the cost of attendance? What's the financial aid? What kind of opportunities can I get in this university? Now, for you all here, these are some websites that you can use or that can aid your step 1. We have the Big Future. We also have the College Navigator, and I also have the College Express. You don't have to worry too much. If you go on Google and just type Big Future at College Board, you're still going to arrive at this link. Or if you go to College Navigator, you'll still arrive at this link. Or if you go to collegeexpress.com. For undergraduate students as well, these portals here are the portals through which you're going to apply to study in the US. We have the Common App, where you can apply to as most 20 schools at once, but you need to know that not all schools are also on Common App. All right. We also have the Coalition and you also have the CBCA. But most importantly, you also want to understand that on all schools in the US, you can apply directly from the school's websites, official website, I mean. How can I verify accreditation? On my previous slide, I spoke about the importance of accreditation. You can't get visa to a school that is not accredited. And the same way there are non-accredited schools in Nigeria, you also have unaccredited schools in the US. So you really, really want to pay attention to the accreditation status of whatever school you want to attend. The website on the screen, you can write it down, is where you can verify your accreditation. How can I get a credential evaluation? This is an opportunity for you to get on the websites that you can see, the websites that you can see on the screen right there. You have a list of a lot of accreditation agencies, but there are some schools that would tell you specifically that we want this particular evaluator, right? But there are some schools that will tell you we just want a document by document evaluation. So your role is now to go to this website here to look for which school does that kind of evaluation, and whatever the cost is. But don't forget, like I said, some schools will actually tell you this is the kind of evaluation that we want. In that case, you can't do whichever one that you like. All right. Now, step 2, which is financing your studies. I'll be honest with you, because I mean, there's no point of me being here and I'm lying to you. Schooling in the US is ridiculously expensive. Schooling in the US is very, very expensive. There are some schools that will cost as much as 95,000 US dollars. If you multiply that by 1550, that's a lot of money. So don't allow anybody lie to you. You need to evaluate your finances very, very well. You need to have your budget. It is very, very very important. Okay. And have a budget. How much can you pay? Okay. All right. Apply for financial aid. Schools in the US would always have financial aid. Okay. But you also need to understand that you are not the only one applying for financial aid. Competition is very, very high, and partial financial aid and scholarships are available at many, many schools. All right. Partial aid, most especially, because not everybody can get full funding. That's just the truth. If I come here today and say, oh yeah, don't worry, apply, you get full funding, it's a lie. That's not the truth, right? How can I afford a US education? Truth is, I told you that there are about 4,000 plus accredited, right, schools in the US, right? But just about 100 plus can provide full funding. So just think about your chances. But the truth is, there are still a number of Nigerian students who go to the US fully funded, but they are definitely doing something different, right? So what exactly are they doing differently? Now, before we go into that, there's something you need to know about financial aid policies. Okay. Sorry, before I proceed again, please let me be sure that you all can still hear me and you can still see my slides advancing. Thank you. If I should get a couple of messages in the group, I'll just go ahead and all right, positive. Okay, perfect. So I can proceed. So we have financial aid policies as well. All right. Now, when a school says they are a need-aware school, what does that mean? What they're trying to tell you is simply that as an applicant, your ability to pay in this case, the cost of attendance or your school fees, right? Your ability to pay or not to pay your ability to pay or not to pay is being considered during the admissions process. Your ability to pay or not to pay. So what that means is, let's say, for example, a school costs 50,000 US dollars, and the school is asking you what's your budget, and you say 20,000, right? So that means if the school admits you, the school has to pay the differential, which is $30,000. Now, if a school doesn't have that 30,000, it's a grant for your admission to be denied or your application to be denied. Not because you're not brilliant enough. It's just because the school does not have the money that you are asking for. That's just simply what it means. Okay? Now, need blind. When a school is need blind, what that means is they are blind to your needs. They don't necessarily, I won't use the word, they don't necessarily care if you can afford it or not. At first, what they care about is, how good are you? What can you bring to their campus? They are need blind, right? Your ability to pay or not to pay is not considered during the admissions process. Now, what is funding based on? Your academic achievements. What kind of transcripts do you have? Have you taken the standardized tests? All right. What exactly who exactly are you in the 4 walls of the classroom? What exactly have you done? Okay, within the 4 walls of the classroom now. How many A's do you have? Okay, those are the things that are very, very important at this point. Now, we also have the financial need, which is need-based. What that means is, yes, you're brilliant, you have merited these scholarships, but you just can't afford it. Not all of us can afford to pay fees, to be honest, right? But you need to merit it first before the need. It's not the other way around. Okay, so you can get scholarships based off your merits or based off your need or both at the same time. There are also institutional priorities. What that means is what are the priorities of the school at that point of your application. So if, for example, if your interests align with the current priorities of the institutions, those are grounds for you to be awarded funding. And most importantly, extracurricular engagement. Who are you outside the four walls of the classroom? Who are you outside the four walls of the classroom? Now, are you a prefect? How are you different? Do you play football? Do you play basketball? Who are you outside the four walls of the classroom? What kind of, okay, you play football. Do you play nationally, internationally, or it's just you and your siblings on Saturdays? You just play to while away time, right? No. What is your commitment? What is your impact in that particular extracurricular engagement, or those extracurricular engagements you are partaking in? Okay, your extracurricular engagement is technically who are you outside the four walls of the classroom? What have you done? You are never going to get full funding based off your A's alone or based off your who you are inside of the classroom. It's a combination of who you are inside the classroom and who you are outside the classroom. Okay. Now, holistic admissions for undergrads. So, what are some of the things that are considered for a fully funded student? High grades on transcript, like I said before. You need to have your high grades in your SAT, ACT, TOEFL scores. And also, you must have strong communication, critical thinking, and leadership skills. And you must be committed to extracurricular engagements. You must be committed to extracurricular activities, like I said before. So it's not just your commitment, also your impact. All right. What have you done outside the four walls of the classroom? If you're the head girl, how have you led other people? Those things are very critical. Those things are very, very necessary. Where can I find funding? On the website of each university, right? You need to research. Don't forget I said it takes 12 to 18 months. And Google is also your best friend, right? How do you stand the best chance? Apply to six to 10 programs that have the most funding. Communicate with admissions reps often. Always set that line of communication. Let them know you for good things. But don't go and ask them questions that you can easily find on the school's website. That's why I've already emphasized that you have to go through the school's website, all right? Then score as high as you can on standardized tests. Submit completed applications before due date and be prepared to pay for the first year. And that is why budget is very, very good for you. And also make sure you submit professional and polished applications. It's very, very essential. All right. More funding tips. Always consider community colleges. They are cheaper. Apply to honors colleges. They come with benefits. Apply to affordable colleges and universities. Those are the things those are pointers for you to get funding, because it is very, very essential that you are able to afford your own education. Then step 3 is completing your application. I already said a lot about all of this here, right? Application forms and fees. There are some schools that you need to pay application fees, while some will also allow fee waivers. Okay. There are essays and SOPs as well for you. Then standardized tests, resume and CV, English test as well, official academic records, recommendation letters, and certificates of finances. So step 3 is actually where you are just filing. It's just more of filing, more of just putting in your application together just so that you can submit. What do I need to know about transcripts? The thing is, for undergraduate students, you'll be asked for your JSS1 to SS3, but emphasis are paid more to your JSS3 to SS3. Tips for getting letters of recommendation. Always ask early and inform whoever you want to write your recommendations for you. Let them know who you are. let them know, let it remind them about, some of the things that you have done that they might have forgotten. It will be very, very good for you. Then I also spoke about standardized tests. The two standardized tests that is applicable to undergraduate students are the SAT and the ACT. And there's this 100-hour rule that says if you spend up to 100 hours, preparing for your standardized tests, there's a very high percentage that you will do very well, very well for the test. You do very well on the test. Now, these are English proficiency tests. Those are TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo. Step 4, which is applying for student visa. Now, you must have been accepted at an accredited school. You must have possession of sufficient funds. You must present an intent to leave the US at the end of your study, because that's in line with the visa that you're going with, which is the F1 visa, and also preparation for your course of study, right? All of these must have been covered between steps 1 to 3. Then step 5 is preparing for departure. Learn a foreign language, take MOOCs, massive open online classes. Culinary skills are always great to have as well. Also, you should improve your programming skills for those who want to study computer science. Intern in places where you know that you need to gain experience. For example, I see students who say they want to go and study nursing, and they've really not really worked at an hospital before, right? So I think it's an opportunity for you to actually get hands-on learning before you go to the US. All right, that's the end of the first part of my presentation. And like I said before, we have a membership program, which is free. Well, of course, it is very, very competitive. For you to qualify as a member, you must show us your WAEC results, either taken this year or last year, and there must be no C, D, E, or F. In fact, if there's one C, you can consider, but if you don't have your WAEC result, that's maybe somebody in SS2, if I have your transcript, you can go through it, and there must be just a maximum of 1 C there. Also, you can also submit your A-levels or IB results if you have them. But disclaimer, at Education USA, we are not agents. We can't guarantee anything. We don't guarantee admission to Ivy Leagues. We don't guarantee scholarships or full funding, visa appointment dates, issuance of student visa. That's not what we do. Like I said at the beginning, our responsibility is just to provide you with the most accurate information about schooling in the United States. But what are some of the things that we can do? We spoke about the membership program already, essay writing workshops as well, career counseling, advice on school selection based on your criteria. We also have a lot of guidance on scholarship opportunities. We have a lot of seminars, a lot of workshops where you can learn how to write essays, how to negotiate financial aid. We also have student visa orientation, and we have, of course, the pre-departure orientation. Those are the ways that we can help you. For example, the last week of this month, we have the undergraduate bootcamp, but it's only open to our members. So if there's a way you can become a member before then, this is an opportunity for you to attend the 4-day intensive bootcamp. Is in person at the US Consulate General in Lagos, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day. Like I said, it's only for members. All right. If you want to contact us, this is a link to these are links to our social media platforms and also our email where you can send us an email. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please put in the chat and I'll answer a few questions before 12 noon. Thank you very much.